Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Prajajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Panachari Jamuna Tira Panachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Gyantimidandasya Gyananjanachalakaya Chakshurumilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutapatakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahakana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahakana Lalita Sri Vishakambitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Hare Krishna. I am sincerely grateful, honored, and feel very blessed to be with each of you this evening in the presence of His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Sri Tadvaja Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Chandramali Swami Maharaj, Shri Shri Radha Kalachandji. In this very magnificent historical temple. This truly is one of the most beautiful temples in all of the world. As far as I could see, in all of Brahma's creation. And I believe His Holiness Satsvarup Goswami Maharaj was living here for some years, and His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, and how I believe Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj designed as it is. It is extraordinary. Many beautiful temples, they're built from the foundation up, everything designed perfectly. But to take a pre-existing church or whatever this was, this was a basketball court? You are saying it in a way that is glorifying. But today, to take a pre-existing structure that was designed to be something very different, and to so impeccably, harmoniously, and perfectly create such an authentic, beautiful, Vaishnava Vedic temple. The sky, the arches, the original paintings from Natwaram in Rajasthan. Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa-san and his pranam mantras. These wonderful, I don't know how you call them in India, but they look like couches on 3 of the walls. And then this very unique Vyasa-san like no other, with stained glass domes. And as far as I read on this sign here, the oldest deity of Krishna in the Western world came to preside here, Kalachandri. And Srimati Radharani came from Vrindavan to join him. It's really wonderful. And I'm so happy and so proud of the whole community that is grown and is growing here in this part of Texas. And how fortunate. Where in the world hardly do any devotees get such frequent visits by great saints like Giriraj Maharaj. And Ritadvaja Maharaj. And I believe by His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami's compassion for the people of America, he called Nityananda Prabhu from the island of Fiji to come here. And the family spending years and years helping to lead the communities. It's very great fortune. So rare that if we receive such a rare fortune, it's hardly possible for the human brain to recognize the good fortune we're receiving. The bridge between reality and illusion is Shraddha, or faith. Because when we're speaking about that actual reality that is beyond the mind, the senses, our intelligence is a subtle material element. It cannot grasp what is transcendent. The ego, ahankar, false ego, very much taints everything with shades of our own mundane conceptions. But adoshata, in the beginning, it's faith that gives us a belief and a hope in a reality that is beyond this ever-changing world. Srila Prabhupada would explain that real knowledge, he quotes from Ishopanishad, is to understand both knowledge and ignorance, material and spiritual, simultaneously. And so much we find, yes? Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. I have faith. often Srila Prabhupada, his beloved messengers, and all of the previous acharyas, they emphasize that we're not our bodies. That for the soul, it never dies. It never grows old. As long as we're identifying with this body-mind, adhyatmaka, adidaivaka, adibhotika, we must suffer. Sufferings of the body and mind, suffering of the conditions of nature, and suffering caused by other beings. It is for sure. It is inevitable. To think that anything could change material nature is an illusion. No matter how much we learn materially, however much we acquire, whether it be wealth or property or fame or physical strength or brilliance, we will die and everything will be taken away. Why is there so much emphasis on this? Why not just focus on the bright side? That Krishna's dancing with Sri Radha and gopis. Because unless we actually really understand and have faith in the inevitable miseries of material existence, we can't really take that leap of faith to absorb ourselves in the bridge of the holy names and sadhu sangha, which ultimately brings us to the pastimes of Shri Radha and Krishna. Yesterday, I was told there were tornado warnings here. And so many people, their electricity was finished. Yes? My question, you don't have to raise your hands. What could you do about it? Could anyone stop a tornado from coming? If it's coming toward your house, all you could do is hide. And essentially, well, as it was pouring rain, and someone gave me one of those cellular phones, and somebody else programs it. I don't know how to reprogram it. But when there's like hazardous weather conditions, there's like little alarms that go off. I didn't know, maybe Indra's calling me or something. But there were flash flood hazardous warnings. And this is how the conditions of life as we know it in our helpless state, or potential helpless state, how we could connect by remembering Krishna. Right here, this magnificent painting of Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill. In the history of the world, as we know it, there's never been such a flash flood as what happened at Vrindavan. You know, Indra doesn't really pay personal attention so much to the tornadoes in Texas. He just let it be. But he focused his 100% attention on massive floods in Vrindavan. And we see under Govardhan Hill, everyone please see this beautiful painting by B.G. Sharma. Through the vision and the compassion of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj to bring Govardhan Leela to Dallas, Texas. We recognize that this is just not a hypothetical pastime. It's reality. It's the Leela of the Lord. But still, there's a lesson for all of us who have very much forgotten the Leela of the Lord. When things are out of our control, when things are really miserable, for the Brijavasis, the thunder, the lightning, it is described that it wasn't raining in drops. The drops were the size of huge pillars pouring from the sky. And at times there were massive hail. So the Brijavasis, they love their cows and their little calves. They love their family. Everything is in danger. Now we see in this painting, the rain isn't stopping. The tornadoes aren't stopping. The lightning and thunder. But everyone's so happy because they're taking shelter of Krishna. So as we understand the nature of material life, in truth, we take shelter of Krishna. We take shelter of the nature of the soul. And at every stage, from the beginning till we attain Prema Bhakti, it's all a development of our faith that grows into realization, that awakens love. Srila Prabhupada quotes Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that such faith comes not mundane faith, not a vulnerable type of faith in something that's not real, but real faith, real shraddha. It comes by association of sincere devotees. Adoshata tata sadhu sangha. When we have the association of devotees who with great compassion are repeating the words of God, the word of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as it has descended through parampara or disciplic succession, who do not want anything for themselves. They simply care about all living beings and want to help us. Little Prahlad, he was afflicted by so much danger. And from a mental and physical perspective, he was subject to so much suffering. But yet he was always happy. The one thing that it seems from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam that Hiranyakashipu was most disturbed by, whatever he did to Prahlad, and he tried everything within his supernatural yogic powers and his supernatural intelligence and creativity. He tried to intimidate Prahlad, to torture Prahlad, to kill Prahlad. But with everything he did, he could not get Prahlad to stop loving him. Now for Hiranyakashipu, that was an insult. Whatever I do, not only can I destroy him, I cannot get him for a moment to not be my well-wisher. Because he was under the shelter of Lord Sri Krishna. And this shelter, when we're, of course, all the residents of Vrindavan, they are Krishna's absolutely pure associates. But still, for us, however much we develop faith in the association of devotees, however much we become purified by chanting Krishna's holy names and hearing his glories and worshiping his beautiful form on the altar and offering prayers and serving his instructions and helping others of this world, still, in Kali Yuga, we only have at the most about 100 years, which goes really fast. Just last year, my beloved father, he was 99 years and 6 months old. And just a couple weeks before he passed away, he was saying, I remember the things of my childhood more than I remember the things of my adulthood. And it seems like yesterday, how this time has passed. And then he looked at me and said, I remember you more as a baby than I do today. Time is really fast. Human nature, when we're young, we really want time to speed up. But when we're old, we really want it to slow down. But time, the extent of our life is just a little flash, a little spark. And the importance of association, satsang, and developing faith in that association is we recognize how valuable time is. Durlabha manava janma lobhiya samsare. That this human life is so precious. And actually it's so rare. Now in the context of living in a world where there's traffic jams in Dallas, but if you want to really appreciate the traffic jams in Dallas, come to Mumbai. It's like coasting down a superhighway at midnight. But cities are overcrowded. What to do with population explosion? So sometimes we get distracted from actually appreciating, recognizing, and reciprocating with how rare a human life is. When we consider all the various life forms, 8,400,000 species, and within each species there's so many subspecies, on so many planets, in so many universes. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now that you've come to this human form of life, it's the opportunity to realize the eternal nature of the soul, the Atma, Satchidananda. What is the nature of the soul? It is eternal, full of knowledge, and full of bliss. Ananda. What is the use of knowledge and eternality if you're not happy? Yes, so the Ananda part is really the most important. When we have Ananda, then eternity is wonderful. You know, some people say you're going to be in hell eternally. We don't really think, oh, I want to be eternal. But Satchitananda, when we are eternal in bliss and knowledge, being conscious always of sweetness and beauty in its infinite state, and the Ananda of the soul can only be realized through bhakti. We could never attain Krishna. We could never attain the Rasa Lila or the Govardhan Lila. What to speak of being with the gopis here on this picture when Krishna's stealing their clothes. Damodar, all these beautiful pastimes, Srila Prabhupada called them windows into the spiritual world. We could hear about them. But we must be determined through our faith, through our association, to perform our sadhana, our seva, and live tapasya. The essence of tapasya is, under any circumstance, to live with the character of a Vaishnava. Fasting is tapasya. Not oversleeping or overeating is tapasya. Not accumulating for our egos is tapasya. But actually in the Lord's Leelas, Kolavecha Sridhar was living in a little one-room straw hut. He had no furniture. And Maharaj Pratapa Rudra, he was the king of all of Orissa with beautiful palaces. Who was doing more tapasya? On one morning walk, Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur, he was saying, Advaitacharya was married with children. Nityananda Prabhu was married with children. Srivas Thakur was married with child. Shivananda Sen was married with children. And Swarup Damodar Goswami, Ramananda, I was married to. Swarup Damodar Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they were living as pure renunciates. But who was more advanced? Their renunciation, all of them, was in their pure loving surrender to the Supreme, to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Vaishnav character is really the basis of real tapasya. I was citing a beautiful statement of Srila Prabhupada. He spoke in Vrindavan, where he was explaining what Vaishnav character really pleases Krishna. He said, the sign of an advanced devotee is one who appreciates the activities of other devotees. That sounds pretty simple. But in this material world, it's like swimming upstream. But in certain ways, Srila Prabhupada also explained that in bhakti, the goal and the way, the path to achieve the goal is the same. When we're actually really advanced, we not only appreciate the activities of devotees, but we see every living being as a child of God. But also, an inseparable part of the path of bhakti is to practice that. If it's difficult to do, that's our austerity, along with other things. But it is inseparable. Mad bhakta pujabhyadika. Krishna tells, and all our acharyas are reminding us that Krishna more appreciates when we appreciate his devotee than when we appreciate him directly. In the story of Ambarish Maharaj, Durvasa Muni, can you imagine if he were to come to teach yoga in one of the yoga schools of Dallas? He could spellbound everybody at every moment. He had such incredible supernatural powers. And Ambarish Maharaj he was also a very profound renunciate. And Ambarish Maharaj was a family person who had so many worldly duties. He was a king who had to organize armies, and police forces, and taxes. And yet, when Durvasa Muni, seeing him as a fallen grihasta, tried to cause harm to him, the Sudarshan chopper came to cut him to pieces. Yes. And Durvasa Muni created a fiery monster. And he was first a fiery monster, and Sudarshan burned the fiery monster to ashes. That's Krishna. And then went after Durvasa Muni. And with all of his powers and all of his knowledge and all of his incredible disciples, what did he do? He ran away. When he couldn't run away, he flew away. This is yoga. He didn't just like fly to Houston. He flew to Indraloka and Brahmaloka and Shivaloka. And they said, we can't help you. You offended Krishna's devotee. And then he went to Vaikuntha Loka. And he fell at the feet of Lord Narayan. Narayan said, I can't help you. You offended my devotee. But you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everybody, Brahma, Indra, Brahma, Shiva, they all told me to come to you. He said, Lord Narayan spoke what was in his heart. What's in my heart is my devotee. Because I am always in the heart of my devotee is always in my heart. Because a devotee knows nothing and no one but me, I know nothing and no one but my devotee. Krishna speaking from his heart. We see this beautiful painting of Sri Rasa Leela. Krishna's dancing with each and every devotee. And each gopi is thinking Krishna's only with me. And Krishna reciprocates. But the ultimate pleasure of all the gopis, and Krishna knows in their hearts, is for him to be with Srimati Radharani, who is the source of all their love. And each and every one of them is simply eternally, their ananda is serving her love for Krishna. Yayatamam prabhadyante. There's no envy or jealousy that creates animosity. In the spiritual world, all apparent jealousy is actually a way of expressing our profoundest, most intimate appreciation. It's positive. Narayan, Bhagavan, is telling this to Durvasa Muni. You hurt my devotee. I have no power to protect you. Only Ambarish can protect you. If you surrender to him, I give you my full shelter. That's what it took for this greatest ascetic to appreciate a simple grihasta and what bhakti is. And yet Ambarish Maharaj, what was his state of mind? He fasted for a full year. Durvasa Muni came for prasad. And usually he traveled around with 10,000 disciples. Ambarish said, yes, go. And Durvasa said, let me go to bathe in the river. But he went into some samadhi in the river. And Ambarish had to break his fast for the well-being of all living beings within his kingdom. So he took a drop of Charanamrit water. And then Durvasa Muni got angry. Ambarish Maharaj didn't eat anything for the whole year that Durvasa was running away, because he still hadn't served his guest. How many of us would be such a well-wisher of somebody who's just trying to destroy us? And he really blasphemed him too. Durvasa Muni came back, and when he saw Ambarish was still waiting for him with a beautiful feast to feed him, and he hadn't eaten yet, Durvasa Muni could understand what Narayan was saying. There is nothing more powerful than love for Krishna. The Old Testament, the New Testament, the Holy Quran, and ultimately the essence of all Vedic knowledge. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes Prema Pumartamahan. The ultimate goal of life is to love God. It's the nature of the soul. And in Vrindavan, the most spontaneous, sweetest, unrestricted love exchange between Krishna and all devotees. In Santaras, Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras, Madhuryaras. It's exchanged eternally. And simultaneously, every devotee is thinking, Krishna's only with me. While they're thinking, I'm the least among everyone. And how Krishna loves everyone. So in loving Krishna's devotees, that is the most accessible way we can please Krishna. So when Srila Prabhupada was giving this simple sentence, the sign of an advanced devotee is one that appreciates the activities of other devotees. That is a very essential, all-encompassing statement that describes not only how to reach the spiritual world, but the glories and joy that everyone has in this spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada, a famous statement he made, he was talking about Vrindavan. How everyone in Vrindavan is chanting Radhe Radhe. Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada's godbrother, Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, the only thing I would practically ever hear him saying when he wasn't leading kirtan was, Hare Krishna. And the way he said, Hare Krishna, Hare is Sri Radha. How he was giving his heart in glorification of the internal source of love, Sri Radha. So Srila Prabhupada's explaining that in Vrindavan, why do people chant Sri Radha's name? And he said, because Sri Radha, when we please her by being the servant of her servants, she approaches Krishna and she says, please accept this devotee because he or she is better than me. Why would Srimati Radharani say that we're better than her to Krishna? And mean it. We take a little palmful of water from Mother Ganga. Mother Ganga has trillions upon trillions and trillions of palmfuls of water. And we're taking one and we're offering it to Mother Ganga, and yet she feels it. This is so much. This is what actual bhakti is. To deeply appreciate, not every, people have faults in this world. And even if they don't have faults, if we have faults, we'll see faults. Should we do kirtan now, or should we continue? Okay. Nrsingarupa Prabhu. Give us instruction, please. Please continue. You are very polite, thank you. So this is so much, very much a part of the process. That yes, there may be faults. But if Srila Prabhupada, when he came to 26 2nd Avenue or Frederick Street in San Francisco, Giriraj Swami Maharaj was there from almost the very beginning. Srila Prabhupada, there was a lot of faults to be seen by him. But yet, even if he saw them, he appreciated the spark of devotion, the potential of devotion in every person's heart so much, he was willing to sacrifice his life for every devotee. In the same recorded lecture that I cited, Srila Prabhupada quotes his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. He said, my Guru Maharaj told me, Prabhupada said, that I am willing to sell all the properties of our home mission if in exchange I could get one person to turn to Krishna. And then Srila Prabhupada explains that my mission, Srila Prabhupada's mission, he said, our success, and these are the words he used, our success, if we can get one person to turn their face toward Krishna. He didn't say become a pure devotee or become a gopi. He said turn their face to Krishna. This is how magnanimous and compassionate the heart of the lover of God is. And then Prabhupada said, our mission is not properties, but for the sake of our mission, we need these properties. But the purpose of it all is to help people turn to Krishna. And through the pure process that our beloved acharyas have given us, and Srila Prabhupada painstakingly, and his followers are painstakingly striving to give the world, giving the means by which we turn to Krishna and Samsadhir Haritoshna, and we please Krishna. He quoted Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when you come to the temple, don't try to see Krishna. Live in such a way that Krishna is pleased to see you. And an advanced devotee is not one just worship the deity, but one who worships the deity and understand what really pleases the deity even more is when we appreciate and serve the devotees of the Lord. Today I was sitting, it was a most blessed and blissful experience. Actually, the word bless and bliss is almost the same. I was sitting with His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. And I don't want to go over time, but on this subject I might a little bit. We were describing the glories of His Holiness Jaipatak Swami Maharaj. And, at this time his health is in a very difficult, challenging state. And I remember when His Holiness Jaipatak Swami Maharaj had that stroke. Our doctors from Bhaktivedanta Hospital were right at the hospital where he was getting his surgeries, and the super specialist who was operating on him. He said, don't tell anyone else, but 99% chance he will leave his body. No one can survive a stroke like this. And he said, and if he does survive, he will not be able to do anything ever again. And the doctors told me because, they felt obligated. And devotees all over the world were praying for him and chanting for him. And somehow or other he survived, but he was between leaving his body and staying in his body. It was so vulnerable. And he was brought to the Bhaktivedanta Hospital. After he stayed, which was, I think, a couple months later. And I called him on the phone one day. And I just wanted to make him happy. But what I said, I totally did not mean. But when you're speaking to a great Vaishnava, you have to mean it. That's the lesson I learned. I said, Maharaj, next week we're having our Pune Yatra, and there'll be 5,000 devotees there. Please come. He couldn't walk. He could hardly whisper. And I thought, that would just make him feel like, I want to serve him. So he calls for the leading doctors of Bhaktivedanta Hospital, said, bring me to Pudayatra. They said, Maharaj, no, you can't go. You know, you have all these intravenous tubes in you and you're very vulnerable and the road is not all that good and it takes, about 4 hours to drive, and then you'll be exposed to 5,000 devotees. You can't do it. And he got really intense with them. He said, I want you to bring me to the Pudayatra. And they were giving all medical, technical, professional, heartfelt reasons why he cannot go. And His Holiness Jaipatak Maharaj, he said, your guru invited me. You cannot go against the word of your guru. It was actually a critical crisis. It was a crisis. So they called me. And they were practically crying, begging me to uninvite Jaipatak Swami. Because there was no way they could keep him back. I said, he's my Shiksha Guru, he's my mentor, he's senior to me, he's a personal associate of Srila Prabhupada. I'm just like, on the sidelines. How can I uninvite Jaipatak Swami? They said, you have to or he may die. And this is one of those moments in the material world where you have to decide something. So I prayed to Krishna. And my idea was this: go to that super specialty surgeon who's his main doctor, because he's not a devotee. If he tells him for medical reasons you cannot go to Pune, then we'll all just follow what he says. But he has to tell Jaipatak Swami, because no devotee can tell him not to come without making some aparad. So they went to the super specialty, the leading surgeon, and they told him the whole situation. May I tell you the conclusion of this pastime? The surgeon chastised all the doctors. He said, over the months, I know this man. He said, the only thing that really brings him happiness is giving Krishna to others. And the more he's happy, the more he'll heal. So if there's 5,000 people he can give Krishna to, that's the best medical therapy we could give him. Now, this is just not theory. They put him in an ambulance and brought him all the way to Pune. He did it. I think, they had to drive kind of slow. I think it took 6 hours or something each way. And he came out, and there was thousands and thousands of devotees, and he could hardly talk. And he was just like, he was speaking, and one disciple was like kind of translating from English to English in a way that we could hear. And he spoke for about an hour and a half. And I was looking out at the devotees. 5,000 devotees means 10,000 eyes. There were 10,000 eyes weeping just to see the extent that he longed to give Krishna to others. And ever so grateful for everyone who took to Krishna consciousness. So Radhanath Maharaj, we were discussing some things, and let us pray for Srila Jaipatak Maharaj's good health. If it is Krishna's wish that he be with us for a long, long time. Through his Vani always, and through his Vapu, his many years we pray. And recently His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada and Krishna took him, his physical association from us. And there was a memorial service at Radha Rasbihari Temple in Bombay. And I was in Los Angeles, California on Zoom, and Giriraj Swami was, I think you were here in Dallas. How His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj spoke about Gopal Krishna Maharaj was so profound and so deep and so instructional. Not only in his heart's love for his god brother, but his appreciation for his activities and his spirit of bhakti. And sometimes when we're neophyte devotees who think we're advanced, that's kind of a contradiction. But one of the symptoms of a neophyte devotee is that they think they're advanced. Now, if any of us think we're not like that, that means we're probably neophyte devotees. But because we have different natures, the whole Varnashram system is that all different people of all different natures with all different ways of thinking and all different proclivities, when Krishna's in the center, it's like one body where every part of the body is serving every part of the body, and no part of the body thinks I'm better. How many of you have stubbed your toe in your lifetime? Now, when you stub your toe and your toe is in pain, does your brain think I'm better than the toe? The brain is only thinking of how to relieve the pain of the toe. That's Varnashram. Every part is doing their natural function for the whole. And when you water the root of the tree, when we please Krishna, that's the greatest service to all. But you can't, he doesn't just exaggerate. He speaks profound truth. And that's why devotees and people all over the world have such deep trust in his words and his life. In his beautiful glorification, he explained in the years that they served together, there were sometimes differences. Hari. That was like a special effect. Either that or an alarm to tell me I'm over time. Is electricity still working? So His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj was saying, when we were serving together so closely in such an incredibly challenging environment that we read about in his book about the building of Juhu Temple, Radhanath Bihari. He said there were differences, but yet how they had such profound love and respect for each other that just kept actually growing and growing. Their appreciation for each other were growing over the years because they recognized the surrender, the self-sacrifice, and the love that each had for serving Srila Prabhupada. And that is really one of the most essential lessons for all of us, for all time to come, of how to actually make spiritual progress. Differences are inevitable, but the higher level of consciousness, whether it's differences in a family, or differences in a brahmachari ashram, or a brahmacharini ashram, or differences among grihastas, or differences among different temples, or different zones, or different ashrams or varnas. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami, he distributed more plates of Mahaprasad than anyone. He distributed more of Srila Prabhupada's books than anyone. He built and remained a spiritual leader of more temples than anyone. He organized within our movement the largest Rath Yatras than anyone. And Ritadvaja Maharaj was explaining how he was always so humble and respectful and eager to serve. And what Ritadvaja Maharaj was speaking, I think all of the God brothers and God sisters could repeat the same thing, that when he would be in Vrindavan or Delhi, Gopal Krishna Maharaj would eagerly arrange a car, arrange a driver, arrange a room, and he was just so eager to serve from his heart, not as a formality. How could somebody who's accomplished so much? He was the chairman of the Indian Bureau. He was the senior-most member of the GBC body. He would practically be on the altar offering Mangalarti every day. And he had severe health crisis. We cannot imitate him. If we try to imitate him, we'll probably leave our bodies. but how Srila Prabhupada invested mercy in such great souls for us to follow. And in his last weeks, he's in a state of health where it's just like a fine line between being in the body and leaving the body. It's quite like critical. It's been like that for a couple of years, and it was very challenging state. And there was a meeting of leaders in India, in the Himalayas, Dehradun. And he was feeling in his heart, I must go there. After all, I'm a leader and I invited them. How could I not be there? And so many of the devotees were saying, please don't come because you're so ill. But he went. And that's where he left the world, near the bank of the Ganga in the Himalayas. His whole life was to serve. And of course, when Radhanath Maharaj and myself were speaking together, he was especially like melting my heart with his remembrances of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. We're speaking about the foundational things that these great souls have done. Jai Patak Maharaj, he learned Bengali language. And I remember that first, what was it, the World of Hare Krishna or something like that. And I'm sitting on a little mountain in the middle of nowhere, and somebody comes with this Fairchild projector. It's just like a screen this big, and you put a cassette in, and Yadubar Prabhu and Vishaka made. And I'm seeing His Holiness Jai Patak Swami Maharaj. He's preaching in the Bengali language to a crowd that looks like 10,000 Bengali people. And he's speaking Bengali, and they're all cheering and chanting. And this is like 1975. How could he do that? And he never stopped. He just expanded all over the universe. His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami, whatever our movement has, to be realistic, we must bow our heads at his lotus feet. He was the first to organize Harinam Sankirtan, and that became the main means of preaching within our movement. And then he was the first to organize back to Godhead distribution, and that became a main means. And then he became the first to organize book distribution, and that expanded into Radha Damodar, which historical proportions. He helped to start the temple in Los Angeles, and Srila Prabhupada was so deeply appreciative of his service. When those 6 grihastas, Yamuna Devi, Guru Das Prabhu, Mukunda Goswami Maharaj, Janaki Devi, Malati Devi, Shamsundar Prabhu, they went, and Saraswati, they went to London. Srila Prabhupada called Tamal Krishna Goswami to take charge of the temple because he trusted his leadership so much. And then when he took 4 out of 6 of those, 4.5 out of 6.5 of those devotees to India, he brought Tamal Krishna Goswami and made him the GBC for for whole of India. how foundational he was to assisting Srila Prabhupada in serving his Guru Maharaj. And His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, to be loved by a Vaishnava, Krishna's greatest blessing. How he loved you, Maharaj. When his health was in a very difficult situation, he called on Radhanath Maharaj to be at his side, and he was right there for months and months. And we were describing the glorious pastimes of Giriraj Swami Maharaj, and what he did in those years to help serve Radharas Bihari Temple during Srila Prabhupada's physical pastimes and beyond. The surrender, the sacrifice, the compassion. Srila Prabhupada totally trusted Giriraj Maharaj. And how indebted we are to you. So Radhanath Maharaj, as we're speaking some of these things, I'm kind of filling in some extra lines. Maharaj said something, and the whole purpose of this whole class is a purport for what he said. Would you like to say yourself what you said?
What did I say? I mean, I said so many things, I don't know. Oh, I know which one. I know which one. Oh, fine. Yeah.
We're going to end the class with what he says.
Hare Krishna.
And of course, before Chandramali Swami Maharaj, who is one of my lifelong best friends in Krishna consciousness. And no matter what happens in Brahma's creation, as far as I could see, whatever happens in the manifested Leela of Mahavishnu, Chandramali Maharaj, with humility and with complete determination and dedication and such beautiful Vaishnava qualities, just keeps serving.
Hari, 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 Hari,
And dancing.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
So on this subject of sharing with one another the glories of devotees, Radhanath Maharaj spoke something that was just springing from the core of his heart. And we'd like to end this extended class by hearing what you spoke.
Hare Krishna. So we had an appointment at 3:30 to visit, and he asked me, how was your health? Then we started talking about the Vaishnavas. We didn't talk about each other's health. We just talked about Vaishnavas. This one, that one, this one, that one, for 3 hours and 15 minutes. At 6:45, he asked me what time it was. I said, it's 6:45. He said, I'm supposed to be giving class. And I said, Maharaj, there's nothing that's more fun than sitting here with you and glorifying all the Vaishnavas in this world. There's nothing better. There's nothing better. And we just extended it for another hour and a half, which is even more blissful with so many, 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 many more Vaishnavas in our presence. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj quoted Srila Prabhupada that the sign of one's advancement is how one appreciates the activities of other Vaishnavas. And he just showed how advanced he is by appreciating the activities of other Vaishnavas. It's the proof. And I'm so grateful that we both ended up here in the same place at the same time. It's a special mercy. Yeah. After Sadhu Sangha. You should say some final words.
Sweetest and best note. Maharaj, what should I say? All I can say is I'm so happy and so humbled to be here amongst all of the Vaishnavas. And therefore I'm just absorbing this beautiful glorification of these great souls who are actually reflections of many of the wonderful qualities that exemplify pure devotional service. One thing I always noticed, and I don't know how to express this in the best possible words, but that when Radhanath Swami is around, everybody loves everybody else. Happens all the time.
I don't have that experience. But if it makes you happy to say it, then I thank you very much.
I expected you to say that.
Well, we've been together 50 years now, so thank you so very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Shri Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra Mai ki jai. Shri Radha Kalachandji ki jai. Nrsimharupa Prabhu, please.
His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj ki jai. His Holiness Pratapaja Maharaj ki jai. His Holiness Chandramuli Maharaj ki jai. His Holiness Giraj Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So thank you so very much, Radhanath Maharaj. Let's all give a big Hari Bol to Maharaj together. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! So at this time now, Maharaj, we have cookies for all 4 of you to give out to the devotees. So we're going to test, or not test, but we're going to humbly request all of the devotees to practice what Maharaj has said today about the advancement of a devotee is shown by how they respect other devotees. So how we can exemplify that mood by very nicely and orderly organizing ourselves to get cookies from Maharaj. And also I want to say we have some special guests with us here today for the first time. So I ask each and every one of you to please, let's be very aware of everybody that's around us. There's many of us here, and I know we're eager to get the association of these very advanced devotees that we're fortunate to be around. But at the same time, let's practice this mood of being Vaishnavas together and do this in a very Vaishnava-like way.